Is someone saved if they believe in Jesus, but not the true biblical Jesus? This is a very good question. Okay, now many people believe in Jesus. Even atheists will tell you that they believe that there was a man called Jesus who lived in Israel in the first century, and he was a teacher, he was a rabbi. Some will admit that he was crucified. Okay, these are facts about the life of Jesus. You don't need to be a Christian to know that. The same way you don't need to be a Greek philosopher to know that there was a man called Aristotle. You don't need to be uh, a French historian to know there was a man called Napoleon. You can just find these things out. These are historical facts about Jesus. But there are other historical facts about Jesus that are very crucial to be saved. You have to believe those historical facts to be saved. And we're going to look at a verse in a second, but understand that even atheists believe that Jesus existed. So that one crucial thing you need to believe is that Jesus is the Son of God, not was a teacher, not was a rabbi, is, because he's alive today. He is the Son of God. And how did he prove that he's the Son of God? By rising from the dead. Okay, where I come from, Ghana, West Africa, there's this legend, if we want to call it that, of this. We call them fetish priests, and what that basically means is they are traditional. I don't know how to put it in like Western terms. It's like it's just a pagan religion. Let's put it that way. It's a pagan. He's a priest of a pagan religion of one of the tribes in Ghana, and the legend goes that he said he was about to go get the keys of death. And so they locked him in a room for about, was it 3 days or a week or some amount of time. He said he was gonna die. He was gonna go get the keys from death and come back to life. I don't need to tell you how that went. He never came back. So that's how you prove that you're God. When you lay your life down and take it back up, the conversation is over. You're God. That's what the book of Acts, I believe, chapter 1 says, that he was proven to be the Son of God by the resurrection from the dead. And so that's what you need to get right about Jesus. And a lot of these historians who are atheists do not get that part right. Okay, and if you don't get the resurrection right, then you don't believe. Okay, you believe in a person called Jesus, but you don't believe that he's the Son of God, which is a crucial part that you need to believe. And even Muslims believe that Jesus existed. Um, they believe that Jesus was a prophet, but he didn't even die on the cross. They believe that Allah took Jesus away, and it just looked like Jesus died on the cross. So they don't even get the death of Jesus correct. How much more the resurrection? So Muslims believe that there was a prophet called Jesus, but let's look at this verse in First Corinthians, which I believe does a better job at explaining this. So I believe it's First Corinthians 15. I'll read from verse 1 to 8, and then we'll see where we go from there. So, moreover, brethren, I declare to you the gospel which I preached to you, which also you received, and in which you stand, by which also you are saved. So you're saved by this gospel, if you hold fast that word which I preached to you, unless you believed in vain. For I delivered to you first of all that which I also received, that Christ died for our sins according to the scriptures. So you need to believe that. That's number one, and that he was buried, and that he rose again the third day according to the scriptures, and that he was seen by Cephas, that's Peter, then by the 12. After that, he was seen by over 500 brethren at once, of whom the greater part remain to the present, but some have fallen asleep. After that, he was seen by James, then by all the apostles. Then, last of all, he was seen by me also, as by one born out of due time. Okay, and then Paul talks about being the least of apostles, but we skip to verse 14, and Paul says, and if Christ is not risen, then our preaching is empty, and your faith is also empty. If Christ is not risen, then our faith is in vain. So the entirety of the Christian faith rests on the fact that Christ is risen, and Christ being risen means that he's the Son of God. So, to answer your question, if someone believes that there was a man called Jesus, but they don't believe in the biblical Jesus who lived for 33 and a half years, died, and was buried and rose up from the dead, they're not saved. That's the gospel. And it says he died for our sins, and Romans will tell you that he was raised up for our justification. So the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus is very important. You need to get that part right. So short answer to that is no. If you don't get the biblical Jesus right, then you're not saved.